Journaling is a tool to access those deeper parts of you, to come forward and shine, or to just present. And this builds and strengthens a relationship with yourself. You get to know parts of yourself you didn't know existed, and you access information that you need, whether it is to have clarity on something.
Hey, I'm Brooke Jean, therapist, recovering perfectionist, and struggling working mom on a mission to normalize normal. If you're an overwhelmed, high-achieving, and secretly anxious mama, struggling to balance it all and on the brink of burnout, you are in the right place. Here is where we talk about hard things like balancing work and family life, mental health, and how to navigate life-altering transitions. Nothing is too taboo here. In my conversations, I'll teach you how to let go of who you think you're supposed to be in order to create the life you've always wanted. Get ready to embrace your messy, shed the shoulds, and find freedom through a life unperfected. This is the Unperfected Pod.
Welcome back, my friend, to the Unperfected Pod, where we normalize normal and find freedom through a life unperfected. Happy Friday, Mama. I am so glad you're here. I am so grateful that you are here tuning in, spending this time for you and on you. And before we get into today's topic, I just wanted to make a little quick request. If you are enjoying the conversations that we're having, if you're getting any benefit from this podcast, I would so appreciate if you go and download, rate, and review. And if you're not sure how to download, you just go to the podcast, and in the top right corner, there'll be a check mark. You click on that check mark. That's going to have you download the podcast so you never miss an episode. And then if you would go in and give us a 5-star review and let us know what you are specifically receiving from the podcast that's helping you, that is going to help this podcast get to more mamas worldwide. And you all know that I am on a mission to help mommy's mental health. So thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for making this time in yourself a small little priority. And please help me get this resource that's free out into the world for as many mamas as possible. Let's get into today's topic, which is all about a practice that I've been engaging in personally since I was a teenager, and a practice that I subscribe my clients to every single day in this work, and that is journaling. All too often I get asked by people, number one, what the heck is the purpose and the point of journaling? Like, what is this going to do for me? And secondly, how do I get started? How do I make the most out of the time that I'm going to invest engaging in writing things down? So I wanted to do an episode just on journaling. And while there are hundreds of benefits to journaling, I'm going to share the top 5 that I see, the 5 reasons that I have recommitted to this practice off and on since I was a teenager. And then I'm going to share some tools and tips and tricks on how the heck to get started. How do I start and maintain a journaling practice when I already have 457,000 things going on in my day? So let's get started. What is the purpose of journaling? First of all, big picture, like overarching umbrella, journaling is a self-care ritual or practice that I believe enhances your health and well-being. It's that big. Yes, it helps your mental health. Yes, it helps your emotional well-being. Yes, it helps us process things and gain clarity and all of this stuff. It organizes our thoughts. But bigger picture, it is a practice to enhance your health and well-being. Let's talk a little bit about the 5 ways in which I believe it does just that. Number 1 is taking time for yourself to have a ritual like journaling sends a beautiful and correct message to yourself and to the universe that you matter, that you are worthy of a self-care ritual, that you deserve to take up space and have this time for yourself. When we dedicate 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, whatever you've got, when we dedicate that time to ourselves, for ourselves, we are teaching our inner children and our subconscious and our mind that we matter, that we are going to continue to show up for ourselves because we matter. And just that, the practice of showing up, begins to heal parts of ourselves that we didn't even know needed healing. And energetically, when we set an intention and we show up for ourselves in this way by journaling, we are sending a message out into the universe that we matter. We are raising our self-worth, therefore raising our vibration. So just by saying, I'm going to start journaling and I'm going to dedicate this 10 minutes a day, you are sending this beautiful message to yourself that you matter and you are deserving of this time, and out to the universe that you matter and you are deserving of this time. And that alone is going to shift something for you in how you feel about yourself, how you show up for yourself, and the other people, places, and things that show up in your life that mirror that vibration, that you matter. And you're going to start taking care of yourself in this way. So that's number one. And that's huge, my friends. That is not a small thing. Showing up for yourself in any sort of way with consistency sends a beautiful message that you matter. And that is an energetic upgrade. Number two, journaling is a tool to acknowledge and process what is going on in your life, which forces you to wake the heck up in your life. All too often, we're just going through our day subconsciously, meaning we're not awake, we're not aware, we're going through the motions, we're not paying attention, we're not checking in on ourselves. We're just putting one foot in front of the other and making it through the day. And if we continue to live like this, friends, years go by, decades go by, and the next thing we know, we look back and go, what the hell just happened? Who am I? Where am I? What's been going on? How do I feel about these things that are going on? I may have all of these physical ailments because I haven't been processing these emotions and this energy in my body. I've been stuffing them and repressing them and suppressing them. So journaling is a practice where we get to wake the heck up, live more consciously, and acknowledge what's happening in our lives, in ourselves, in our bodies, in our feelings, in our relationships. There's a lot going on right now. If you follow me on social media, I just did a TikTok about how everything is changing. Astrologically, things are changing. In the world, things are changing. In the United States, things are changing. In the government and politically, things are changing. In our systems and structures, things are changing. In our dynamics, in our family systems, in our teams, the way we're working is changing. Our family secrets and our dysfunctional patterns are coming to the surface to be acknowledged and healed and transformed. And all that is bringing out your shit to the surface. And so there is a lot going on. I'm calling it the big purge. All of this dysfunction, all of these ways of being that are no longer serving the collective, the betterment of people and society and our planet, they are bubbling up for us to look at them, to deconstruct them and build new. And so what that means is you're probably experiencing a lot of big feelings, maybe even some scary thoughts, or you're just blowing in the wind, circling around and can't even get your feet on the ground. I want to normalize that if you're going through that. Journaling is a practice for you to put your feet on the ground, to put your fanny in a chair, and to turn your attention inward and to ask yourself, how do I feel about what's going on? What am I needing through all of this change and uncertainty and transition? What matters most to me? And am I living in alignment with those things? Am I processing the grief of this, losing this person or my kid going to college or losing my identity because I've become a mom? Am I processing the argument that I keep having with my partner? Am I processing the information that I just remembered about my childhood? Am I actually acknowledging these things? Or am I just floating through life thinking it's not going to catch up to me? Here's the dirty truth, my loves. That stuff that we're just trying to skate by, it always catches up to us. Because those thoughts, those feelings, those traumas, those experiences, those emotions, they have an energetic value, and energy never dies. So that grief that you're stuffing, it's an energy that never dies. It's gonna come back up and manifest in different ways. That anger that you're stuffing because good girls don't have big rage, good girls don't have big anger, that's gonna bubble back up. That resentment that you're feeling because you have crappy boundaries and you say yes to everybody and you don't take any time for yourself, honey, that's gonna bubble back up too. Let me just tell you. So what we don't acknowledge is going to show up until we acknowledge it. And that's usually kind of an ugly and messy process if we wait too long and it has to get us. Journaling allows us to acknowledge it before it bubbles up into something bigger. Journaling becomes a place and a tool where you say, this is what's up for me right now. This is how I'm feeling about it. This is how I'm handling it. This is how I'm navigating all of this. We need to process what is going on. And journaling is a way to do that. Now, there's other ways to process what's going on, like movement and therapy and creative expression and being in nature. So journaling isn't the only tool. Everything I'm going to teach you guys isn't the only way. It's about giving you guys all the tools and you dabbling in and playing with them and seeing which ones resonate, which ones feel good, which ones do you actually benefit from, and putting those in your tool belt. But journaling is a way to process what the heck is going on. And that leads me to number 3. It's a way to move emotion through your body. So as I've taught you before, emotion needs to be in motion. So if you're walking around with grief or anger or sadness or overwhelm or resentment, and you're not moving that emotion through your body, you're stuffing it down, it's getting stuck. And it's going to start to brew a storm inside that gets bigger and bigger and then maybe comes out as anxiety or an outburst or an obsession with something or a misdirection in something. And so emotion needs to be in motion, and journaling is a way to put pen to paper. The kinesthetic transfer of you writing something that's in your head down on paper moves that stuff that's just swirling in your emotional brain and in your body. It moves that data to that prefrontal cortex, the newest part of your brain, where your executive function lies, where your analyzation and your synthesizing of information and your prioritizing, right? All of those functions of your brain are in the newest part of your brain, in that prefrontal cortex. When we journal, that information that's just swirling in our emotional brain, in the middle brain, gets moved to this prefrontal cortex. So not only does it move this emotion through our body, it moves the information in our brain. And then when we write it down on paper, we can see it differently. When we write down what Brené Brown calls the SFD, the shitty first draft, which is your most raw and real and messy and vulgar and vulnerable response to things. When you just flush that out on paper, you've moved it so then you can get into your rational mind and take action after that. You can see it for what it is. This is my emotional response. This is my triggered inner teenager response. And now that I got that out, I've cleared some space. I'm back in my rational brain. What steps do I need to take forward? Or I even like to encourage people to brain dump all of their to-dos at night in their journal before bed, because just dumping out all of your to-dos, again, that kinesthetic transfer is going to move that worry, that overwhelm, that anxiety into a different part of your brain where you can see it for what it is. Yes, it's a long list. Yes, it is, honey. It's always a long freaking list, isn't it? And also, I can get some of it done tomorrow. I don't need to do it in my sleep. Same thing with journaling. We have all of these fears and emotions just floating through our brain and body. They need somewhere to go. We need to move the emotion. And journaling is a beautiful way to do that. Write out your SFD to life. Then get busy figuring out what you want to do next. And by the way, in our journal, do not write your journal as if someone's going to read it. Okay? This doesn't have to be legible. This doesn't have to be eloquent. This doesn't have to be sane. None of us are sane. We all have really scary, disgusting thoughts. That is what it is to be human. Just nobody wants to talk about it. But we do on this podcast. So don't hold yourself back in your journal for fear of judgment. Don't judge yourself and shame yourself for what's coming through you. We all have scary thoughts. We all have weird urges and desires. We just don't talk about them. But in your journal, flush those out. You'll be a healthier person. So number one is taking time for yourself sends the right messages to yourself and the universe that you freaking matter. That creates change. Number two, journaling is a tool to access and process what the heck is going on in your life versus just blindly floating through and then letting it catch up to you. Number three is it's a tool to get emotion in motion. Okay. Number four, slowing down and sitting with yourself and beginning to journal is going to slow down your brain waves, which is going to allow you to access deeper parts of yourself and of your brain, aka your subconscious mind. And so journaling is a tool to get to know all of you, all of your parts. It's a tool to unblock the parts of you that have been hidden and see what they have to say, what they're feeling and experiencing. So guys, it isn't unusual if you're journaling and you almost feel like you begin to have an out-of-body experience and something else is taking over. Your handwriting might even change. That is because you are now accessing a deeper part of yourself, a subconscious part of yourself that is coming through and coming forward. And this is how we gain insight. This is how we gain clarity. This is how we integrate these parts of us that we've kept hidden. What does the angry part of Brooke have to say about this? What does the younger version of Brooke have to say about this? What does the untamed part of Brooke have to say about this? What are Brooke's true desires if no one were paying attention or judging her? Journaling is a tool to access those deeper parts of you, to come forward and shine or to just present. And this builds and strengthens a relationship with yourself. You get to know parts of yourself you didn't know existed, and you access information that you need, whether it is to have clarity on something. Right? If you have these big questions, let's say you're in a midlife awakening and you're asking yourself, what is next? Should I leave or should I go in my marriage? Should I move? Should I start a new career? Should I launch that business? Should I homeschool my children? Should I quit drinking? You're asking yourself these big questions. You cannot think your way through it. You need to access your subconscious. Journaling is a beautiful way to do that. Ask yourself the deep existential questions in your journal and be bewildered by what comes through. Don't hold back. Access your deeper parts of your brain, your creativity, your subconscious, and information will begin to flow when you set your intention and you show up for your practice consistently. It might not flow right out of the gates. You may have to work on reestablishing your relationship with yourself. because so many of us have abandoned ourselves. We learned when we were children that our feelings were too big, that our emotions were too much, that we were too much, and we began to shove those parts of ourselves down. We began to learn that we were wrong for having that thought or feeling or that behavior. And over time, those parts of us got really buried under society's bullshit. And journaling is a way for you to layer by layer pull back and get back to that core essence of who you are and let that energy shine bright unapologetically. And this is what we need now more than ever from us as women, as mothers, as the divine feminine. And number 5, beyond just tapping into the deeper parts of ourself, having a ritual where you are slowing down your brain waves, you're in a regulated nervous system, you begin to access your intuition and spiritual guidance of your own understanding. Here is where I download my most creative business ideas. Like, I can't force the thought. I can't strategize my way there, but I can shut up and listen. And the guidance, the direction, the intuitive hits, they'll come. Again, they might not come the very first time that you journal or the 30th time that you journal. You may have to strengthen your practice just like anything else. But over time, by sitting down and having this consistent ritual in a regulated state, you're essentially going to open up your channels of communication to yourself, to your own internal guidance system, your intuition, and also to spiritual intervention, divine guidance of your own understanding. So I have made this morning ritual a dedicated practice to not only my self-care and my well-being, but to my business growth. I will not access as brilliant of ideas if I don't sit down and do this work. I've got to slow down in order to receive it. And because I've received it time and time again, I trust that it's coming. This is a game changer in business. I don't have to force my way to success anymore. I just have to sit my fanny down every morning or most mornings in my morning ritual and allow and get out of the way and trust. So when I'm feeling stuck and I don't know what's next, I don't need to freak out. I know it's going to come eventually. I believe that because time and time again, it has shown up for me. So when people ask me, Brooke, what is the point of journaling? What's the purpose? Those are the 5 juiciest benefits. Number 1, taking time for yourself sends the right message to your inner self and the universe that you matter. That's huge. Number 2, it's a tool to acknowledge and process what is going on in your life. We need to be awake for our lives, conscious for our lives, processing what's going on so we can ensure that we are handling things in alignment with who we want to be. We can make sure we don't get too far off track. Number 3, it's a tool to move emotion through your body. Emotion needs to be in motion. Emotion has an energetic value. We need to move that through our body, otherwise it gets stuck and stored. And it wreaks havoc on all of our systems and creates ailments in our bodies. Number 4, journaling allows us to get to know ourselves on a much deeper level, to get to know all the different parts of ourselves, and to access the subconscious parts of ourselves, the parts that are typically outside of our awareness, the parts that are really driving the bus when it comes to our beliefs, thoughts, feelings, behaviors, patterns, urges, addictions. All of that shit comes from our subconscious. We got to get to know those parts, my loves. No more repressing them and suppressing them and shaming them. We need to invite them to our table of life and see what they have to say and channel their information through our higher self of how do we want to handle this? Where do we go from here? And number 5, having a journaling practice allows you to tap into guidance, whether that is your own internal guidance system, like your intuition, or a spiritual guidance system of your own understanding. So whether you believe in God or Buddha or the universe or whatever it is, it's sitting and having a practice where you regulate your nervous system and you slow down your brain waves. That is where information can finally come in. Right? That's where we're open. If you haven't already read Liz Gilbert's book, Big Magic, she explains this so beautifully. We need to be awake, and our channels of communication need to be open for us to receive the big ideas, for us to receive the intuitive hit, the clarity, the answers to our big existential questions. And so journaling, my love, is a practice where you get to know yourself. You get to process what's going on. You get to remain healthy because you're processing what's going on. And you get clarity and direction of where to go in your life and accountability if you're not on the right track. Listen, I've been journaling since I was a teenager. And when I go back and read my journals, there are themes and there are patterns for things that are happening that get me off track, that I allow to get me off track, and the terrible ways that I was managing through that and coping through that, and then the problems that would create, and then the rock bottom that I would hit, and then the new journey I would get on and how that would pull me out, and then I would take that baton and run until the next big thing pulled me out, right? There's like these themes to my life timeline that I get to see through my journaling so I can learn and do different next time. So I can armor up and take care of myself as I navigate the messiness of life. If I'm going through a big transition, I know now that I need to cope in different and healthy ways, right? Your journal is your time for you to get right with yourself. It's a way to heal. It's a way to grow. It's a way to raise your consciousness and therefore your energetic value. And when you raise your consciousness, you're going to attract people, places, and things that are also raising their consciousness. And doors will open and things will begin to flow. The right people will come into your life. The right opportunities will come into your life. The right books and podcasts and speakers and teachers and coaches will present to you and show up in your inbox and in your feed, right? This is how we begin to flow, but we're awake for it. We're living intentionally. We're not ignoring the hard things. We're facing them head on. We're not spiritually bypassing and psychologically bypassing shame and depression and trauma. We're facing it. We're going into the depths of the darkness so we can then get to the light. It's a dance we do. And the journal is a guide, is a tool to help us do that delicate dance. So, how do we start a journaling practice? Number one, we set the intention. I'm going to start journaling. I want you to ask yourself right here, right now, what is it that I want to get out of journaling? Maybe you want to get some clarity. So your intention is going to be journaling every day will provide clarity. I want you to get yourself a gorgeous journal and your favorite pen. Because when we have nice things, it motivates us to continue on with the practice. And honey, you deserve nice things. Let me say that again. You deserve nice things. When we get ourselves nice things and we show up for ourselves to do nice things, do you see how over time that is reconditioning us for what we're worthy and deserving of? All these little things matter, guys. They add up. And if getting a new journal isn't accessible and available to you, pick your favorite of the ones you currently have. Pick your favorite pen of the ones you currently have. But at the top of that front page of your journal, I want you to write out your intention. I dedicate time to myself for my self-care. Journaling will provide me clarity. I begin my healing process. What is it that you're hoping to get? I release this grief, this shame, this rage. What is it you want to get out of this practice? Use that as your intention. Write it out at the top of the front page of your journal or the first page of your journal. Then I want you to establish when and where you're going to do your practice. Okay, research shows that if you set an intention, but you add in the when specifically you're going to do it and where specifically you're going to do it, you are much more likely to get it done. So when and where are you going to do your journaling practice? Y'all know I'm obsessed with a morning ritual. Okay, so I like to get up between 5:30 and 6:30 before the motley crew gets up and starts needing me. I come downstairs, I start heating up my water for hot lemon water. Then I go into my office while my hot lemon water cools down. I do a 10 to 15 minute meditation. Depending on what I'm feeling and needing, I determine the style of meditation. There's a lot going on in the world right now, so I'm doing a lot of energy cleansing and clearing in my meditation. And then after that, I do my journaling and creating. Because stuff comes through every single day in my meditation, and I got to get it down on paper before I forget. And so I structure my journal in this way. Part 1, shit I'm going through. This is where my SFD is. What am I processing? What is happening in my life? What's the hard thing? What's the thing I'm upset about? What's the thing I'm struggling with? I write it out. I write it down. I write out what's working, what's not, what I'm feeling, all of it. It's raw, it's vulnerable, it's messy. If you were to read it, you'd be like, okay, somebody needs a therapist. Don't worry. Don't you worry. And then the second portion is where I recommit to my goals, my dreams, my vision for myself. This is where I remember my why. This is where I remember who it is that I'm trying to become so I can have the life I want. This is where I remember, oh yeah, I'm working on feeling more happy and energized. I'm working on manifesting more love or more intimacy in my relationships or a book deal or, whatever it is. This is where I get more intentional around my manifestation practice, which maybe that can be a whole nother episode. I am a manifesting maniac. I have been for a long time. Here's where I remember what my manifestation list is. But on my manifestation list, it's really who do I want to be and how do I want to feel? I don't look at I want to manifest this thing or this money. The first thing I want to manifest is a way of being, a way of existing, and how I want to feel, how I want to be showing up in the world. This is where I imagine myself on that stage, helping millions of people, being in alignment with my truest, most authentic self, being of service, smiling, dancing, laughing, crying, having my husband and my family, and I feel so connected to my purpose and my passion and my loved ones and what I'm supposed to be doing. That here is where in my journaling practice, I call upon that image. I write it down. I get freaking excited about it if you couldn't tell. And then the third segment is where I write out, what am I doing today to move myself closer to that existence? What aligned action am I taking right here, right now to bring that into fruition? So today I'm going to do this, and this. And P.S., because I've done my morning ritual, I've had my hot lemon water, I've had my meditation, and I've journaled, and it's not even 7:30 a.m. Listen, I've already won the mother effing day, honey. She's won. It is all gravy from here. And because I've started my day in this way, the rest of my day unfolds in this higher vibration. The rest of my day unfolds with this level of intention. It shapes how I experience the remainder of the day. So how you start your day sets the tone for your day, which is why I love a good morning ritual, and journaling is the third thing I do in that morning ritual. Now, my youngest is 5, going to be 6 this summer. So she is waking up around the same time every day. But if you are a mama with small children, honey, I see you. You have no idea what effing time you're going to wake up tomorrow morning, do you? You don't know if these cutie patooties are going to come into your bedroom overnight, if they're going to get sick, if they're going to need mommy or daddy, or they're going to wake up. I mean, it's a total shit show, isn't it? So the morning ritual might not be accessible to you. So maybe you do a midday ritual where you get your hot lemon water, your 10-minute meditation, or actually, if you have small children, a 10-minute yoga nidra. Write it down. Yoga nidra. It's a resting meditation. It is a lifesaver for mothers. Shout out to the Mindful Mamas app. They have my favorite one. You do yourself a 10-minute yoga nidra and a 10-minute journaling practice as a midday ritual or an evening ritual. You finally get the children down. Pour yourself a nice cup of tea. Do a little meditation or a little stretching, a little movement, whatever would feel good, and journal. Okay? And put it in your calendar, whether you're deciding to do this practice as a morning ritual, a midday ritual, an evening ritual. It doesn't exist if it's not on the calendar. So put it on your calendar, communicate to all necessary parties that need to know this is mommy's time. This is not when you're invited to the party. Bye. My morning ritual is not when you're invited to the party, honey. Right? But put it in your calendar. You've got to set your intention. You've got to decide when and where you're going to do it. You've got to decide why the heck you're going to do it. And you got to put it on your freaking calendar or set a reminder on your phone or something. And then the last step is just freaking start. Just begin. It doesn't matter what comes out. It doesn't matter if you're scribbling. It doesn't matter if you're just writing bad words. It doesn't need to be eloquent. It doesn't even need to be legible. There's no judgment, no holding back. Just see what's coming up and write it down. And then do it again the next day. Do it again the next day. You're going to begin to build trust with yourself because you're saying to yourself and you're showing up for yourself every day. And so because you're building that trust, you're slowly opening those channels of communication to those deeper parts of yourself, to your internal guidance system, to your spiritual guidance of your own understanding, and information will begin to flow, I promise you. And you will begin to release stuff that's been stuck in your body, emotion, energies that are not all even yours. You'll begin to process through what's happening so you can get clarity on what's next. You'll get clear on what your purest desires are, not what everyone else's interests and desires are. And this is how we begin to heal. This is how we begin to live more consciously. This is how we make sure we're living in alignment with the who we want to be. So yeah, journaling is impactful. Journaling is a tool in my tool belt that has helped me navigate the messiest parts of this life. Journaling is a practice that even when I stray away from, I always come back to because there's something really juicy about sitting with myself. And every time I sit with myself and I engage in a sip of self-care, I am reminded that I matter, that I can take up space, that my thoughts, feelings, the way I perceive things, my dreams, my goals, they matter. There's space for them. And this helps me live in alignment with that. So, my loves, if you made it to this part, to the end of this podcast, well done. May you consider journaling as a tool in your tool belt to help you. May you find a little space in your calendar for a ritual. I don't care if you start with a 3-minute ritual, right? 1 minute of breath work, 1 minute of meditation, 1 minute of just jotting things down. That is a beautiful place to start. Just consistency is key. Continue to show up for yourself. And if you do that for 30 days, you're going to start to reap the benefits. You're going to start to feel the difference. And that's going to motivate you to carry on, to carry forward, to continue to build momentum. And before you know it, you're going to be like me, where you have this hour in the morning to fuel your tank, to spend time with yourself, to pour into yourself, so then you have the energy for the things that matter most. So you don't have to run out of gas by the evening time and then sledgehammer your way through the night like I used to. You can actually have a little bit of energy at the end of your day to do some stretching and yoga. Or last night I did it with my daughter. It was so fun. And I thought to myself, God, the old me would have been on the couch drinking my wine, eating my chips, shaming myself, not present, not being the type of person or the mom I want to be. Now here I am. I somehow have the energy to do some yoga with my daughter with red light therapy and music and twinkly lights. And then after that, we read cards from Gabby Bernstein's deck. Like, what? Who the hell am I? Guys, this transformation didn't happen overnight. I was doing a training on Tuesday to a group of professionals, and the manager asked me, how long did it take you to really implement these practices on a regular basis? And I told her the truth, years. It was years of starting and stopping. It was years of doing it for a while and then going back into my old unhealthy patterns. It was years of continuing and getting back on and building that muscle to recommit to my intention and staying long enough to really see the benefits and being patient enough to get dopamine in healthy ways and not just unhealthy ways. It took years, guys. So yeah, this is work. No shit. But I promise you it's work worth doing because you're worth it. So try something, try it for 30 days and see how you feel. Track your progress. Any shift in the right direction is progress, baby. And we're going for progress over perfection. Go another 30 days or layer in a new tool on top of that. These habits have marginal gains. These habits change the life that we live. These habits carry us through and provide some safety and security and stability through a life that is up and down, high and low, hard and easy. These habits carry us through. So may you try this one on and may it serve you in such beautiful and meaningful ways. Thank you for showing up for yourself today. And as always, I will see you same time, same place next week. Bye for now, Mama. Thank you so much for listening to the Unperfected Pod. I hope this episode helped you feel a little less alone and a little more inspired to be you. If you like what we're doing here, I would so appreciate that you subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. If you do, share the episode on Instagram and tag me at Brooke Jean Unperfected to enter to win a 1-to-1 laser coaching session. Also, feel free to join me in my private Facebook community, Mommy's Mental Health Matters, where we continue the conversation. Thanks again for being here and see you in next week's episode.